order. Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
Ms. Breeden? Aye. 5 ayes, motion carries.
If I can ask everyone to go ahead and stand for me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Scott, I'm going to let you lead us. Face flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Solomon, if you'd lead us in the invocation, please.
Glad to. Please join me in an attitude of prayer. Lord, thank you for this day which you have given to us. Thank you for this beautiful town of Ridgecrest which you have given to us. I pray for our country. Lord, let there be your peace, your love, your understanding among all the citizens of this country. Lord, I pray for the national leaders, state leaders, and county leaders. Give them your direction as they take decisions for this country, Lord. I pray for our troops who are in harm's way. Protect them from all evil. I pray for our first responders, especially the doctors and nurses who are attending to COVID patients. Lord, protect them. Lord, I pray for the patients. Give them your healing. I pray for the families who lost their dear ones. Give them your comfort. I pray for the city council, Lord, as we discuss, deliberate, and give direction. And let our directions be beneficial for the benefit of this community, Lord. I ask this in the most precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you. I'm going to ask the council to go ahead and stand. It's a beautiful day in the Crest, but we have our first thing today is recognizing some of our staff, and we're going to all move on down to the podium. You are first. Yes, they are all lined up and ready to go.
I'm happy here to present to our employees the 5-year certificates. It's Christopher Smith here. This is given to you as an award for recognition of 5 years service to the city of Ridgecrest, and we thank you for that service. We couldn't do it without you, and we are so proud to have you with us. Thank you. Okay, Gary, you want to come out of the booth? Getting him up front is a joy unspeakable. I want to thank you for your 5 years of service to the city of Ridgecrest. To say we couldn't have done it without you, we could not have. And he has made us all look better, sound better, and be better, and we thank you for that. Thank you. Corey Rinaldi, is Corey here? Okay, this is for 5 years of service for Corey. Diane Pogorski, is Diane here? And this is for 5 years of service to the city of Ridgecrest. So we thank you all for your service. We appreciate you.
I use that cool thing called mayor's privilege, so I only have one. Harold Jacobson. Are you present? I do not see him here. This is in recognition of his 10 years of service to the city of Ridgecrest. Thank you very much on behalf of a grateful community.
Good evening. It's my honor to present 15 years of service awards. Mr. Steve Zamaron. Thank you for your service. Will Mills, thank you for your 15 years of service. Joshua Rutherford, thank you for your 15 years of service.
And So I'm proud to present a recognition of service for 20 years, and there is a couple. The first is Yoko Burgess, Elliot Duff, and Jed McLaughlin.
That's you. Taking a long way around. I know.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the city and myself personally, I appreciate everything you've done and the mentorship you've given me so far. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. It's my honor tonight to give this recognition of service award to our city manager, Ron Strand. So, Ron, if you'd please come down. Are you going to take a long way? So this certificate is awarded to Mr. Ronald Strand in recognition of 35 years of service to the city of Ridgecrest. And I'd like to just elaborate a little bit of that, but that's a lot of years in our Ridgecrest Police Department and his years in serving the city as the city manager. And I'd like to say it's been an honor to have been able to work with Ron for the last two years, and I can speak for myself and for the council, and we all present this award as a group. So thank you, sir. And here is your recognition. And then we have a special plaque and award for you. So this is for you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Ricker, for the plaque. I know it's administrative staff that takes care of all the hard work. Yeah, I'd just like to thank council. It's been 35 years seems like it's a long time, but it's gone by very fast. So just want to thank Erin. Obviously, she's my rock. She has been with me almost the entire 35 years I've been with the city. Thankful I have some great staff. Hate to see Bard retiring and leaving us here pretty quick. Glad to see Travis on board. You're looking very dapper tonight. Looking good. Jed, like I said, you've done a very good job, been very loyal. Proud to bring you up as my deputy city manager once we can find another chief to replace you. I'm very fortunate. I work in a very good town. I have very good staff. I have a very supportive council. I really hope that over the next couple of years we can continue to move the city along and keep this a place where everybody wants to live. And thank you. We'll see.
On behalf of the entire council, one round of applause for all of our employees. Thank you very much for your years of service. Probably. Luckily, I printed two of them. Okay. Next on our agenda this evening is the annual update from the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitor Center, the RACVB. Carrie, welcome to the fire pit.
Hello, council members. Thank you for having me. Just need to get situated here. Does that work? Let me get my clicker.
These ones work. You got to speak directly into them. They're a little differently than the old ones.
Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Carrie Crutcher. I'm with the RACVB, and I am the brand new, as of Monday, appointed executive director. and I am just so happy to be here with you. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself because I don't know everyone equally. I consider myself a Ridgecrest native. I was not born here, but I was mostly raised here. My husband and I both graduated from Burroughs. He joined the military, so we moved away for a while, came back to town just briefly to figure out what we were going to do and where we were going to go. And that was 15 years ago, and here we are. And so I love this town. I'm very rooted in the community, and I'm very excited for the future and my new role at the RACVB, the future for the RACVB, and the way that we can contribute to the community. So let's go. What is the RACVB? I get that question all the time. The RACVB is the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. We are the leader of tourism marketing for Ridgecrest throughout the world. Our job is to share with the rest of the world why we love Ridgecrest, a vibrant city with small town values, while at the same time a leader in technology and innovation. We are California's hub to the adventures of the Eastern Sierra from Los Angeles through Mammoth, eastward to Las Vegas and beyond. Tourism funds our marketing with tax dollars on hotel stays. Why is tourism important? In 2019, Kern County saw $1.8 billion in travel-related spending. Here we go. We saw $146.8 million in state and local tax revenue, and over 18,000 Kern County residents were employed in travel-related industry. Economic diversity is essential to the future growth and security of Ridgecrest. Our best work is done outside of Ridgecrest, and this kind of goes back to the question of what does the RACVB do? Why are we here? What do we do? We exist for the simple job to market Ridgecrest to the outside world. All of our marketing efforts are directed outside of Ridgecrest with the goal to bring people to Ridgecrest to promote our area. And so that's the reason why oftentimes Ridgecrest locals don't see our work, is because we're focusing outside of the valley. In my mind, we kind of have a circle of RACVB life, and that's our marketing efforts go out, reach the people outside of the city, bring the people back in. They're here, they're buying gas, they're in our shops, they're in our restaurants, they're staying in our hotels. Through those hotel stays, a small portion of that comes back to the RACVB, so we can do the marketing again, and it's just a circle. And it's a beautiful thing, it's never ending, but it's good because there's always a benefit for those tourism dollars to our city. As we grow, as the RACVB grows and change, we are evolving to make the process better and more of an impact for the community. The RACVB's really grown in the last few years, and through that, our marketing has grown and our impact is growing. So here are our assets of influence. At the top, we have the RACVB, which I've talked about. Through our efforts, our RACVB team was, we advocated with the state of California, and we were able to earn a designation to become a California Welcome Center, which I'll get to in a few minutes. So RACVB, California Welcome Center, the Ridgecrest Film Commission we also operate the Ridgecrest Sports Commission, which in the last year we've really laid groundwork. We've gotten involved with several off-road organizations that are interested in bringing events to our area. There's a lot of interest in youth sporting events in our area, and so through the work of the Sports Commission, we've built some very solid relationships, and once it's safe to do so, we're about to see those things come to fruition. We also have our flagship events, which are the Ridgecrest Petrolift Festival and our CCAP Expo, which I'll touch on a little later as well. So we have a wide-reaching, our alliances are wide-reaching. We have a strong relationship with the California Film Commission. We're members there, and we work closely with them. Our film commission is also a member of the FLIX organization, which is Film Liaison in California statewide. Doug Luke is actually on the board of directors with FLIX, so we have a very close relationship with them. We have a relationship now with Visit California, which Visit California is the California State Office of Tourism. And so that's who we worked with to get the designation for the Welcome Center. And through that relationship, we have several new opportunities, which is really exciting. We have a close working relationship with BLM, a relationship with Caltrans, which is expanding. With the opening of the Welcome Center, we will see an additional 7 Caltrans signs on the highways and throughout town, and all of those signs will be directing travelers to the Welcome Center. 4 of those will be on the 395. So that in itself is very excellent. So it's very good. The RACVB relies heavily on research, and now that we have the relationship with the state of California and Visit California, we have access to all sorts of data, which is extremely helpful to us. And we've been watching the trends and riding this COVID wave, and what we're seeing is that in COVID travel and post-COVID travel, they've done a lot of research, and they have found that the top 5 most desired travel experiences are adventure tourism, celestial escapes or stargazing, living like a desert nomad, so being on the road, camping. We all know that we can work remotely now. As long as you have Wi-Fi, you can work from everywhere. So that lady could probably work from that chair if she had a little hotspot. Open space and road trips with friends. So the research tells us that Ridgecrest is positioned for a booming summer. We hit the mark on all of those things, and we're expecting to see those travelers here in the next few months once it's safe to do so, but with the way things are going, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So here we are to the Welcome Center. The RACVB advocated and competed against different areas of the state to earn a designation as an official California Welcome Center as part of a statewide network of 18 official visitor centers. The Ridgecrest Welcome Center will be promoted throughout all of the state's center network. The center becomes the official welcome center for the nearly 2 million visitors to Death Valley, the U.S. Navy installation at China Lake, and a host of other regional attractions and destinations. We put together a compelling proposal to the state, and because of our proximity to Death Valley, and because of the fact that in 2019, Death Valley saw 1.8 million visitors, the state saw that there was a need for a welcome center in our area. Also, we will be the only California welcome center in Kern County. So geographically, we're perfectly positioned for travelers to Death Valley, travelers going north, etc. I'm going to skip that. In the California Welcome Center, our exhibits will add to the value. The Welcome Center will play an important role in telling the many stories of Ridgecrest and the surrounding destinations with curation that inspires and shares a sense of community in only the way a local experience can. We plan to highlight, here's some pre-visualizations of the center. Obviously, it's not going to look exactly like this, but this is the guide that we're following for the design of the interior. we plan to highlight the interesting history. Our area, the Indian Wells Valley, is rich in so many different types of history, and we plan to highlight that. But that's just what we're going to do, highlight. And then from there, we're going to encourage people to Matarango Museum, Navy Museum, HSUMD. They're the experts. We're just going to give a little teaser and then encourage people on. We're working hard to provide a high-tech as well as low-tech experience to adapt our assistance to a wide range of visitors. A virtual reality experience will not only serve to increase excitement of destinations, but will provide an alternative for those who have limited mobility, have health considerations, time limitations, or are otherwise unable to enjoy various parts of our region. Our plan is to, we're going to do this in phases, so we plan to feature Death Valley, the Death Valley area first in our virtual reality, and then from there, probably a petroglyph experience. And I have to tell you, the thing that excites me the most about this is Death Valley and the petroglyphs all around. They're not accessible to everyone. So if you have mobility issues, like I said, or something like that, you're really restricted in what you can see. But all you have to do is walk on into our doors, and now here we are bringing it to you. So I'm really excited about the access that that's going to provide. The Welcome Center will feature the beauty of our area. Everyone in this room knows you can't beat a Ridgecrest sunset, so we plan to really highlight the beauty of our desert and our area. The focus will be, one of the focuses will be on Death Valley and then the Ridgecrest area, and then from there we also will be promoting some of the other iconic California locations. We plan to have a film exhibit showing the movies that have been filmed here locally. Again, we'll be featuring some of our local attractions. That's a picture of the pinnacles in the night sky. We plan to have community spaces, so we have plans for a conference space and also plans for a large community or a large space that will be available for community use. Inside the Welcome Center will be branding for local businesses. So we'll have artwork from local artists that grace, here it shows, graces the refreshment center, branded coffee cups, artwork, and promotional materials available for our partners and sponsors. So I said we market outside of Ridgecrest to get the people into Ridgecrest, into the center. Once they're here, our goal is to promote our area and our businesses. So whether, whatever that looks like, we have several different opportunities for local businesses that, for promotional purposes. Maybe a coffee shop wants to create a branded coffee cup, and we're giving those out with the coffee. Whatever that may be. But our main goal is once the people are here, we really want to encourage them to support our businesses. And the branding inside the local or the Welcome Center and the promoting that will take place in there will be very valuable to our businesses. Ridgecrest, Collateral, and other Welcome Centers. As a part of the statewide network of visitor centers, we will have a selection designated for Ridgecrest hotels, regional attractions, and other information at the other 17 visitor centers. This is huge. This is a big deal. So we are required to promote the 17 other Welcome Centers. They're also required to promote us. So we will have all of our marketing materials strategically located across the state of California. And a few weeks ago, I traveled to Torrance. There's a brand new Welcome Center opening there, and I met with the manager. And they had their beautiful new display, and I was just looking at where Ridgecrest is going to fit into their little display. So this is a big deal. It's free of charge. It's one of the perks of being a part of the Visit California network. So there we have it. That is the Welcome Center in a nutshell. We are almost ready for construction, so you will see it premiering in 2021 at some point. Visitors add revenue to the city with fees paid to hotels. Tourism builds lateral economies and benefits. So I've talked about the post-COVID travel that we expect. We all know about the China Lake reconstruction that's taking place. It's on all of our lips how beneficial the construction is going to be to the city. But what happens when the construction is complete? And so we at the RACVB are really thinking long-term, and we're trying to plan strategically. And implementing the Welcome Center is exactly that, a long-term plan for tourism. By promoting the region in both filming and tourism, we become key partners in the development of the two main economic drivers in the California economy, film and tourism. By adding to the strength of the base as economic stability, driving tourism and filming provides an additional way to increase revenue and visibility for Ridgecrest. Our co-market generators. So filming, we're all familiar with the fact that we have a lot of filming that goes on in our area. The film industry was basically shut down in 2020, so there's a backlog of filming that needs to take place, and we're starting to see that now. That is going to be something that's big in 2021. Here's an image of Rihanna, a video that was shot here a few years back. And then our events. This year we'll have the 8th annual Petroglyph Festival. We plan, God willing, it will be in person. And then in conjunction with the festival, we plan to host a Native American Film Festival, and that will take place in the Welcome Center around the same time as the festival. And the festival is the first week every November. And then our other flagship event is CCAP Expo, which is the California Contracting, Acquisition, Procurement Industry Days Expo. Our top year has attracted over 500 high-level executives, military and large corporation acquisition professionals who work with small businesses that are looking for opportunities to engage with government agencies. Our participants gather from 38 states over 3 days and bring local spin to hotels and other hospitality venues. We're looking at options this year. We're hoping to be able to have that as an in-person event also in October. And then here are marketing opportunities. I talked about we have the pent-up demand for short-haul travelers, offers unique opportunity to reach those who are attracted to outdoor adventures, the local construction, our conferences and our sports, like I had spoken about. Once we can, we're going to see several sporting events here in town, and we hope to really continue on that path and grow that even more. And then the Petroglyph Festival returning in 2021. The other thing with the Petroglyph Festival is historically we have done petroglyph tours at the same time as the festival, and those tours took place on the base. That's not an option this year, probably for a few years. So we're looking at alternative sites so that we can still have the petroglyph tours, because the tours are one of the things that really bring people to town. So we're not done with the tours. We just kind of have to pivot and regroup on that. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for your time. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer, or if you'd like to contact me offline, I'd be happy to meet with you as well. Thank you.
Well, first, thank you, Carrie. Before you disappear, let me just give the council a chance to see if there are any questions.
I tried to sneak away.
I know you're trying to get out of here, but take a deep breath.
I would like to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
As you see the Petroglyph Festival growing and all the events that you do, is there a way that the community can participate even more other than by simply attending? I know that we've had vendors there, but at the last Petroglyph Festival, there was multiple vendors, lots and lots of vendors. And I wanted to see if there's some way we can help you grow that themselves. Are we looking just for local, or are you looking for outside vendors too?
So we look for both. We open it up to, absolutely, we want our local vendors there. if they're able to. But the other thing there is we really have to keep the focus is the Native American heritage. And so we have several vendors who have, Native American handcrafted things or whatever it is that their business is. So local business, Native American business, and then from there, all are welcome. But we absolutely are open to ways that we can incorporate the community more. This is a community event, and so we're open to ideas and exploring that definitely.
My second comment is not a question, but my family, every time I see most of my family is back east, and every time I see a local, like the latest one out at Inyakern Airport, it looks like they're going into a huge snowstorm into the hangar. And I text my family and say, watch for this one. And my brother will constantly say, I saw Inyakern again, I saw Ridgecrest, and it is so exciting. Is there a way to let us know that those are coming or that we have seen them? Because that's the latest one. Now, I saw one not too long ago. I said, that's got to be Inyakern because I saw the Five Fingers. Is there some way to let us know that those have been filmed, and can we alert our families to that, and so they can tell the advertisers that they saw this at our airport or at our community in our area?
I would have to double check with Doug on that one, the film commissioner.
I'd like to see that if you could.
Yeah, I know that oftentimes the production companies, there's confidentiality agreements and we're not able to talk about things, but that's something that we can look into. Yeah, afterwards we can look into that.
That would be great if you could tell us this is what's filmed so we could watch for it too, because that one I saw, the last, and I don't even remember what it was. I was so excited to see Five Fingers that I don't remember the product. But the idea that we can let our families know, look at this, tell your people that you saw it, and even if you're back in New York or wherever you are, that you saw their commercial filmed in Inyakern or in the Indian Wells Valley.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to say good job. I love the direction and the work that you're going with here. I think it's great for this town. The adventure tourism. I've been here about almost 40 years, and we tried to move a couple times, but we always ended up trying to duplicate what we already had here. And my family's really outdoor oriented. We like to hike, we like to mountain bike, we like to fish, we like to shoot firearms, we like to get out in the desert. And I've always thought that Ridgecrest is a gem of a place. And if you look at other areas like Boulder, Colorado, or St. George, Utah, or some of these places that have unique, outdoor environment, they attract, a great number of people. And so my mind's kind of going 90 miles an hour here with this. I look at it as an opportunity to attract snowbirds, and our weather's fantastic year round. I know a guy that just moved. He retired as an LA County sheriff and went to Wyoming to retire, but it was so cold. The winters were so bad. He lasted 2 years, and he said, "To heck with that," and he moved back to Tehachapi. So I think people really are attracted to this. That the COVID pandemic really was a huge eye-opener to outdoor communities. I mean, the western or east side of the Sierras here was, I hate to say inundated, but it was almost overwhelming to communities like Bishop and Mammoth, and because everybody was evacuating the cities and wanting to get to this kind of an environment. We sat here in a kind of a remote, quiet area, and we'd like to promote it. But I see it as an opportunity to attract snowbirds, and I think that this place would really be a fantastic, if we had a few more fine-tuned, how can I put it, attractions for them to, come and stay for 3-4 months of the winter, and be able to, go to Death Valley and to, enjoy this area. But I see it as an opportunity in that, midterm, long-term to be bringing in, snowbirds and expanding it even more. But yeah, good job.
Thanks.
So, Carrie, I'm a huge fan of the RACVB and have been a supporter for years. You guys are key to our future in tourism. Just a couple quick thoughts. these are just from your presentation. First, I actually love the layout when you were showing some of the history and the banners with Crumville, and so I'm like, that would be awesome. But I have a couple of suggestions and critiques, which is playing off of Peggy's with the commercials. Please find a way to get those integrated into social media. Those are a great tool that can be shared and propagated. And I believe that you can probably find 10 businesses, one volunteer is right here, that would share it and propagate it out into a larger following. You have about 2,500 followers. As a tourism bureau, our goal should be somewhere between 25 and 50,000 followers as quickly as possible in terms of drawing in that tourism, especially through the social media channels. I love the idea of the videos of showing things that are been filmed here, but I instantly had that vision. There was a video made of a drone over the Parade of 1,000 Flags immediately following the 2019 earthquake, and I think it was such a beautiful tribute to what this community is that I would love to see something inside the video that actually goes to the heart of the patriotism of this community. And what we've done as desert nomads, but desert nomads living in the community. And then the last was with Petroglyph. You know, we've participated in Petroglyph for years, and I think you guys did a really good job with last year, but I'm curious if you're still thinking to put it on Las Flores like you did previously, or if you're looking at different areas.
So I have not been here since the beginning of the festival. Full disclosure. But I know that our best years for the festival have been on Las Flores, right there. So while in the festival, you know, last year was kind of a wash, and so we have to kind of rethink things. So I don't really have an answer for that, other than to say that our best years were there.
Fair answer. I was just curious, because one of the things that I love the idea that we're focusing in on the Native American culture that is such a vibrant past of this community. But I also love one of the things that Kernville's done with its Whiskey Flats days in creating that interactivity that creates the history, creates the living history. And I just didn't know if that was something that could be achieved on Las Flores versus maybe a more open area or something like that. And that's just a general suggestion. Anything that brings the Native American side of that festival more alive than just without the Petroglyph tours, because you're right, probably not going to get them for 3 or 4 years, but you can mesh the two somewhere down, you know, when we get back to the future, when the DeLorean gets here. So outside of that, fantastic presentation, and congratulations. The Welcome Center looks marvelous.
Thank you.
Yeah, same. It's a good presentation. I'm just curious to know, other than the proposed California Welcome Center, how are we promoting our tourism to outside world? Are we coordinating? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish, and then
I was trying to say, are we coordinating with Bishop, Kernville, and other areas whenever they have their trade shows or their whatever activities they have? Are we trying to promote ourselves in those activities?
So I'll tell you, regarding the interaction with the other areas, Doug has been instrumental in creating those relationships. We are members of every Chamber of Commerce and every Visitors Bureau within I don't even know how many square miles. He knows those people personally, and he's, you know, instilled that in our organization, how important it is to have those relationships. And so we do have relationships with our surrounding areas, and we do kind of piggyback on marketing of events and those types of things. As far as the other things that we do a lot of online marketing. Not 2020, this is pre-COVID, when travel was normal. We have a high volume of international travelers traveling to Death Valley, and so we actually market internationally, and we're able to capture some of that. And the strategy is not to come to Ridgecrest as a designation, but on your way to Death Valley, stay here. It's a much more inexpensive option. We have all the amenities that you need, and then mosey on to Death Valley and beyond. So that's been a successful strategy. The other thing is social media. You mentioned we do the number of followers we have, but we promote posts, and so we have a wide reach that way through social media. And that's going to be tremendous as travel opens back up for those short haul travelers. LA, Inland Empire, they just need to get out of the city. Here we are, and so we're able to just market to those specific targeted areas, and that's also very successful.
Yeah, that's great. So again, congratulations on your appointment to
Thank you.
Executive Director.
Thank you.
No, everybody asked the questions, and everybody said everything I would say. It was a brilliant. It was.
I promise to start that way next time. Okay?
Oh, are you trying to say? Are you trying to say I talk a lot? Or? It was a good presentation. Congratulations on your appointment. I did have one comment from. Well, it was a question from the public as you were talking, and that is, does RACVB have koozies?
We're working on it. They will be available in the Welcome Center.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's all I had. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
What is the movie? You seen that yet? Where they give out the koozies as the way of promoting the community?
Yeah, what better way?
Well, I know.
Mrs.
Everyone needs a
Crutcher.
koozie.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate it. Next on our agenda this evening is a review of the SPP grant, pool design, and update. Narissa?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So as I told you previously, I would bring back the design that was basically chosen by our community throughout several quality of life meetings. So on here, you can see the grant application is due March 14th, which is next week. We're in the process of doing the final touch-ups to the narrative that's going in with the application. On this slide, I wanted to recap the site features. So these are all of the main recreation amenities. So you'll see that we're going to have an 8-lane competition pool, which is 25 yard by 25 meter. There will be a separate recreation pool that will be able to be used for the little small kids as well as swim lessons. For safety and security, we're going to have plenty of lighting, cameras. We're going to have a snack bar to sell concessions. We have a locker room, a family changing room, a multi-purpose building, which will allow the community to rent out for parties and various other things. We're going to have a separate mechanical room, and you'll see that there are different shaded picnic areas. There's a large one by the competition pool, and then there's smaller ones by the kiddie pool. So this kind of touches on our community feedback, what we've been working on over the last couple of weeks. The Parks and Recreation staff have put out a couple of different surveys to get feedback from the community. And with this, they were able to vote on the pool layout. The options were 2 pools or 1 pool art design. So many of you probably saw where James Monroe's art department came in and they presented different options for art. Those options were wall mural, mosaic tiles, and painted benches. They also presented us with some theme options. Those are listed. So there's a pool theme, Ridgecrest through the eyes of the youth, desert themed, beach, ocean, patriotic, holding hands, generational. So now you're going to see the results of our surveys that we put out. So the layout that got the most votes was 807 votes for the 2 pool design. So as you can see right there, that shows you what's going to be submitted with the application. So you'll see the 2 separate pools, the parking lot. We took quite a bit of feedback from the public based on location of like our landscaping, so the trees or bushes that we would have. The community was very concerned about them being within the pool area and the wind that we have and the leaves and stuff blowing into the pool. So we went ahead and moved them to where it kind of adds beautification to where around the parking lot in the front of the building where you would enter. And you'll see the different, on the legend, it kind of tells you all of the buildings, how big they all are by square feet, and you'll see the numbers on the diagram. The next slide goes over our art survey results. So we put out asking them, if they wanted mosaic tiles, bench art, or wall mural. As you can see, the wall mural got the most votes. That came in at 387. So our plan is to go with a wall mural painting. Then we put out another survey to gain the ideas of the public for the theme. As you can see, patriotic theme came in as the highest with that. So we'll be speaking with the art department and see kind of what they have in mind for that if we get awarded. That's all I have. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is it seemed like it was a very fruitful meeting you guys had on Saturday. It seemed like it was very useful. There was a lot of community there. So thanks. There's a lot of things that I wasn't sure of. Like, we had talked about this grant for quite a while, and there were still some things that I was not quite aware of. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you for putting it together and doing it. Some of the questions I took down while I was there but couldn't ask or talk about. So there was a lot of questions on chlorine versus salt water. Did you guys hammer that out?
Yes, we did. We discussed the risk of going with salt water, and that would be the erosions that it could cause. So potentially in the long run, it could create more of an issue for the city and be more of a cost.
Right, okay. The one that I noticed, and this may be too late, I just thought that there should be shade absolutely everywhere. Like, if it's not going to be a completely enclosed pool, then shade everywhere.
Right.
I remember going as a kid, and everybody's always huddled under the shade, if you're going. I don't know if that's could be changed or added to.
We still have a few days that we can discuss that and see where it would put us on cost.
Sure.
And if it is something that we can do within still staying in the budget, then definitely it's something we could look at.
And there is shade over the bleachers, right?
The bleachers did not have a shade structure
That would be
over
one that I
them.
know came up in a conversation afterwards. I know you had it too. That
Shade, just absolutely anywhere you can put it, within cost, of course. I think the only other question I had, so this was one I wanted to ask, and I think that you probably answered it, and maybe I couldn't hear, and maybe you guys can answer now. The volunteer hours that are a part of the grant conditions, how does that work out?
So we had to have a certain amount of volunteers, and we have the Conservation Corps who are going to be our volunteers for the landscaping part of it, but there can also be other volunteers to help in it. And those volunteers kind of have to come after the construction starts.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Just one question. During the Saturday public meeting, there were a couple of questions about the cost of the constructions. They were doubting 8.5 million is too much. So did you look into that? Do we have some kind of estimate or anything why it would be 8.5 million?
So the grant goes up to 8.5 million. Right now we're at 7.8 million for the pool. You have to leave a buffer in case there's any type of issues that come up. I also think part of it is there's a huge comparison between a public pool and a home pool, and I heard that being a lot of the comparison that was coming out in the meeting. So a commercialized pool is obviously a lot larger and bigger and going to take a lot more to take care of and build than a home pool. So I think that it may seem a little bit high, but when you think about the size and all of the buildings and everything that we're getting with it, it may be a little inflated, but I mean, we won't really know until we get to that process.
No. So if some money is left out, do we have to return back to the state?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, first, Narissa, thank you very much, and thank you to your whole team who I know has been working on this. You and Jennifer have been doing a great job.
Thank you.
So I'm going to throw out a couple things because, first, thank you to the community. I think we had 42 people there. I also want to thank the dais. How many times do we have a Saturday community meeting? All 5 of us show up, and there's 3 who have to be quiet and 2 that can talk. It's a good sign for this community how dedicated this council is to the mission of bringing the pool. I think that you've gotten most of the directional pieces nailed. I want to, if I can have you bring up the pool diagram, that I want to take my moment to stump. And I'm going to stump with my fellow council members, as I did with Mr. Heyman on that day, for the area directly to the north of the pool going towards the senior center. And I just want to point out that should we find ourselves in the position of a successful grant and a construction project and the other positive things that we're really hoping to bring to this community, I would hope that this council would strongly consider revisiting that area in between the senior center and the pool for some additional improvements. There's concrete there. There's just dirt land. There's some significant opportunities there to create an environment around Freedom Park that is a quality of life that is not just about swimming, but it's about the seniors, it's about the community, it's about the splash pad, it's about the Kerr McGee Center. And I personally would hate for us to spend $8.5 million, put a beautiful new facility right next to an empty dirt lot. It's about branding, guys. It's about what is the vision and image that you want when people see it. You don't want them to just go, huh, well, there's what they abandoned last time. Sorry, that's the truth. If you don't like it, take it up in November. So the fact is that I just wanted to appeal to you. I don't know how much it's going to take. I don't know what it would take. But the fact is that I think there's an opportunity there if we find ourselves moving forward with the pool. That's all. I've stumped.
Okay.
Marissa, I already had to listen to it a few times.
So I just have a couple, I'd like to add to that. When we were talking about that area, we discussed, what would fit that, spot, and pickleball courts came up, and I thought that sounds like a really good idea. Back to the earlier presentation from the us being an adventure, tourism kind of place, having things for people to do. I was down in Temecula. It was more of a snowbird kind of it's an RV park, but it's definitely a snowbird park. They attract a lot of Canadians and people from up north. But they had a whole line of pickleball courts. That's the first time I'd ever seen pickleball. I didn't know what pickleball was. But they were busy. A lot of people played it. It seems like a really fun, it's a little lighter than tennis, I guess, but I thought it was a good idea, and something like that would be kind of an attraction too when people do come here. There, just offers more opportunity for them to do different things. But so that's it on that. But I did have a question on the shade. I think Councilman Blades brought up a really probably one of the more important parts of aspects of the pool at this point. That would be the shade structures, and I didn't know if this would be more of an infrastructure question, but when they're doing the concrete work and the footings, for the pool and around it, there was talk from several of the public members that came out about shade over the pool or an enclosed pool, and we kind of discussed that cost-wise, an enclosed pool brings a much higher cost, and also worries about mold or that kind of stuff. But 2 or 3 people brought up that they've been to pools where there were walls that moved to open up the pool, and I didn't know if when they're doing the concrete footing, if it would be something that would be cheaper to do a engineering of the footings so that we could accommodate a shade structure later if we chose to do that.
I think that's definitely something we could visit with them.
Yeah, and I know that would be like questions I want to point to a certain individual in here tonight to ask them, but we could do that later. But I think that'd be something to look at. Would it be economically better to think ahead that we were going to maybe do that and maybe put some kind of enclosure on it or
Right.
a shade structure, and have that already integrated so you're not tearing up concrete and digging down and but I don't know. That's something that I think we could look at real quick
Yes,
beforehand. And I
definitely.
wanted to bring it up the other day, but we were pretty busy fielding questions from the public.
Yeah, we can definitely ask.
But other than that, and the trees, did you cover the tree part earlier? Did you mention
Yes.
trees? Because there were a lot of people, they don't want trees.
No,
and
so
that
as you
was-
could see in the picture now, it's different from what I brought out Saturday. We actually had Hunsacker's office move the trees, and we kind of positioned them more around the parking lot so that the buildings block the pool.
Yeah, because I know
And they're more
landscaping-
shrubs. We didn't really do trees. We did more of like a shrub bush.
Yeah, because I know landscaping looks good,
Right.
but it's a disaster for pools. Any kind of, the
Right.
wind here is going to put it in the pool.
It's a
I guarantee it.
requirement to have landscaping, so we got to have some in there. So that was kind of, our
Gotcha.
idea was just to move them out of the pool grounds and maybe put it into the front, and so that's what we did.
That's all I have.
Thanks.
I had a couple of questions. When we talked on Saturday, I didn't hear us talk about the concessions and/or the snack bar and that kind of thing. Is that something the city would do, or is that something we would lease out? Or how is that? Is it going to be a cooking facility, or is it just going to have snacks?
So in the past, Penny Pool, the current Penny Pool, sold concessions, so it was just snacks with various items. There would be drinks, so soda, water, Gatorade, chips, candies. I believe they sold ice cream also, so we would kind of follow in the same direction. We would look into what the kids like, obviously, and provide those types of things, so that way it sells and does
So
well.
we wouldn't have like a kitchen there
No.
to prepare? Okay, that
No.
was one of the things that I didn't want us to compete with our
Right.
restaurants in the community, but I also wanted to have an area. If somebody wanted, when we talked on Saturday about, you talked about people being able to rent the facility, would they be able to bring those in? Would we have barbecues there where they could do that and that kind of thing? And I was wondering how we could accommodate both.
I don't see why we wouldn't be able to allow people to bring them in. I mean, we have the picnic benches, and there's going to be space probably where people can do it. And also, as if somebody were to rent the multi-purpose room but want to bring like a food truck and have them park in the parking lot, I don't see why that wouldn't be allowed either.
Okay. The second thing, going on what Eric had said, I didn't hear much discussion on that on Saturday because it really wasn't part of it, but the lot next door, I can see a golden opportunity for any entrepreneur to look at that and say, what if I put a mini park there, a rides and not a merry-go-round, but
Like a playground?
A playground, thank you, for people and the kids that are tired of swimming but aren't ready to go home, or their parents have told them, you be there for 4 hours and I'll come and get you, but they're tired of swimming. And I'm thinking that's a golden opportunity for any smart business person, but it also is a golden opportunity for the city, because we do have those things in the summertime when we invite the kids to come and participate in all the events that we do, the classes we do, the things in the summertime. And that would be a good way to do both of those things there. We used to have a Boys and Girls Club. I think if we had a place for them, this would be a way to grow that concept back to what it was. And so I don't want to let that be just a lot. I want it to look at, we're going to grow something here, and whatever it is, we
Right.
can do that.
The staff have been discussing different options for that area, and also just expanding our recreation side and offering some different programs and reaching different areas of our youth. In the past, the Parks and Recreation Department focused on a preschool program, and right now we're looking at possibly offering a school-age after-school program versus preschool, because we lost our participation there. So we definitely are talking about different ways that we can utilize the space that we have and improve it.
Okay. You all did a great job on Saturday.
Thank you.
I was surprised at how engaged the public were. They were constantly asking questions and offering ideas and promoting what they thought, and you were able to guide them to, we need these answers, let's look at this. And I thought you did a great job. I learned a lot, so I thank you.
Well, thank
and your
you.
entire staff. Good job, everybody, and good job, committee.
Thank you.
I pushed the button. Okay. Thank you, Narissa. Okay. Next on the agenda is public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on any item that does not appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour, and each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. I will take, I'm going to take comment from the phones first, and then comment from the public audience. Actually, that's not very fair since public audience already sat through some presentations. Let's flip that. We'll take public comment from the audience first and then from the phones. Is there anybody in the audience who has any public comment? Please come on up to the podium.
You need to bend.
You got to bend.
There we are. My name is Tim Smith. I'm the Executive Director at the Chamber of Commerce, and we hosted our 34th annual Economic Outlook Conference this last week on Thursday, and as part of that, Dr. Mark Schneep prepared a 38-page Ridgecrest economy forecast for us. And so I printed 6 of them to include our city manager and wanted to give each of you one of them. They are available on our website free for everybody in our community to be able to download. We partnered on that project with the IWV Economic Development Corporation. They sponsored this project to make sure that we were able to have Schneep provide this to our community this year. So I wanted to provide just a printed copy for you guys to be able to look through and to see what value we as the chamber bring to Ridgecrest and our community. So I'm going to hand them to Rika.
Thank you, Tim, and
Thank you.
You did a great job in getting the EOC up and running, especially under the virtual circumstances. I know that the school district interceded in some of your hopes and dreams, but if anybody hasn't watched, the full 3.5-hour video is available through the chamber website, and they did a spectacular job.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment from the audience? Hearing none, we'll begin public comment. For any callers calling in, do I have a caller? Caller, state your name.
My name is Kathy Brown.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I don't even know if I can make a public comment because I just joined real late. Can I make a public comment on the last 2 speakers
Yes.
with regard to the pool? Thank you. I really appreciate it. I want to say I think you guys are doing a great job. I just throwing this out to you for public thought with respect to the pool. It sounds so fabulous. The shade issue is really something that's really important that Kyle brought up. And, you know, these little kids, they get out of the pool and they put their feet on that hot concrete. It's going to burn them if they don't have to, you know, get in some shade right away. I think that should be looked at. Also, here's an idea of a hydraulic cover. I have a friend in town that has a pool with a hydraulic lift, and it's fabulous. You just turn a switch, and this thing comes up, and you've got this terrific cover on the pool, and it gives you shade while you're under the pool. And then you can hit the switch, and it goes back down. You're back in the sun. I don't know if that costs too much for you guys to study that, but it's a terrific thing, and it works real, real well. Maybe not on a commercial pool, I don't know, but it sure works on the other pool up there in College Heights. The other thing, too, I love that idea that Peggy came up with, developing the land over there behind the senior center. Could you incorporate like a picnic area, like you said, where the kids get out and they can go over there and play and do that, maybe even a hot dog stand? I don't know if you could incorporate that. But my other comment on landscaping, I agree with you guys on the trees. You know, like you said, you've got any kind of tree around the pool, it's going to be constant cleaning. But could they revisit the landscaping issue and make it more like a xeriscape with rocks, beautiful design rocks, and maybe a little bit more low desert plants rather than even some of those bushes that are deciduous. You know, they lose their leaves every year. So that's just my idea. And the other thing is bringing business into town. I know this sounds kind of far-fetched, but I experienced it. I'm a kid at heart. That 1947 drag strip out there at the Inyo Airport, I experienced it when I first moved out here in 2004, and it was a family activity. People loved it. The kids were out there, and people were coming from Arizona with their cars, Southern California, out to Ridgecrest, and it was a poppin' event. And then they, stopped it because of Homeland Security. But I'd like to see that revisited. And I know that when people came into town, they were going back into Ridgecrest to spend the night and, buy food and stuff. So that was a fabulous advertising thing for our area. I think it'd be really, if we could just bring that back, it had so much significance for people into drag stripping cars and the kids. And also, this sounds really far-fetched, but is there any way the city could investigate providing maybe tourist buses to go out to the pinnacles? People don't always like to drive that road out there. You know, we can get them to the petrol cliffs. Why can't we get them out to the pinnacles maybe? Anyway, thank you guys for listening. I think you're doing all a great job, and it's all input and discussion. I thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any other callers? No other callers. Last call, public comment. It's been tame tonight. Okay. Next on the agenda is council announcements. Do we have any council announcements? Nope. Actually, quick question. What is the purpose of council announcements as opposed to mayor and council comments at the end?
So it was discussed several years ago that not too many people hang around for the end of the meeting, and when you wanted to announce public events, that's where they moved it to this so that you could help promote things, and then your comments were separate at the end.
Okay. Well, then I have a council comment. At least now I know what the purpose is. I just wanted to go ahead and share one quick thing that I don't know if how many of you guys know. For the last couple of years, they have been, and they successfully in 2020, despite the circumstances, held the Run with the Boroughs out in Inyokern, which is they have 3 different types of marathon length. That is coming up on April the 10th, 2021. You can choose to do a marathon while having a donkey alongside of you for the process of it. You can rent a donkey to be your partner for the day. You can run without the donkey, a burro, but it's a great program, and it is nearly sold out with non-local participants. So they've got about 20 slots left. So I wanted to encourage any of our local marathon runners or our local experienced people who are looking for something. I will have a post up on social media tomorrow with a link if you're interested, but that's a great little fun marathon, and they put a lot of work into getting the boroughs out running. So, okay. Next is the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items may be approved by one motion if no member or council has any comment to ask questions. If a comment or discussion is required by anyone, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence. I will now read each item. Proposed action to approve the draft minutes of the regular meeting dated February 17th, 2021, and a resolution approving the program supplement agreement with the State of California Department of Transportation for the construction of a solar photovoltaic system and installation of electric bus charging stations on the city bus shade structure at the city corporate yard at 636 West Ridgecrest. Do any members of the council wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin.
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
Ms. Breeden.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Well, moving right along. Number 6 is the discussion and action item, discussion to appoint members to the council committees, boards, and commissions. Ms. Charlon.
Yes, sir. With the appointment of Ms. Breeden to the council, she has some seats to fill, and I believe that she has some appointments to make tonight.
Okay.
Ma'am.
I have asked and spoken to Will Jenkins to sit on the Planning Commission. He has agreed. I was very impressed with the discussion he had when we were talking about filling the council seat. He did not appear to have an agenda, except he wanted to serve and was willing to learn, and I spent some time talking to him, and he has agreed to serve. So I have asked him to serve as my commissioner on the Planning Commission. I had to fill the Construction Appeals Board, I have spoken to Bill Friend, and Bill Friend said he had served quite some time ago. He thought when Mr. Maurer was on the council for the first time, and he's agreed to serve on that. And he is a builder, retired in this community. And on the Handicap Access Appeals Board, I talked to Kristen Loya, and she is a member of DART and the office manager, and she was really excited to serve, and I have asked her to serve on that position. And she has agreed, and all of them are waiting to hear from Rika so that they can begin to serve with council approval.
So if council has any discussion about them, you can ask questions now, and if not, you can make a minute motion to approve those appointments.
No discussion.
I have no questions.
No questions.
Minute motion?
I need a motion.
Yep, motion to approve.
I have a motion by Kyle.
Second.
I have a second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman,
Aye.
Ms. Braden.
Aye.
5 ayes, nominations are appointed.
Are we supposed to go back to the digital one at some point, or what's the plan? I was just realizing that I keep calling roll call, and we're all here.
So we don't have that up right now because Ms. Braden is going to be taking her picture on Friday, and so to get her in there, we're just waiting until the next meeting.
It's all your fault, Peggy.
Thursday at 5 o'clock.
Thursday.
Okay, fantastic. I was just thinking about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're all here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, next is a public.
Oh, I wanted to add to this.
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry. I'd like to, at this time, appoint Councilwoman Breeden to the alternate for the Groundwater Authority. Yes.
I would be interested in serving mayor and council on those spots that Mr. Maurer had served, if there is no objection.
So those spots would be the alternate for the Kern Cog behind Mr. Blades, the alternate for the Groundwater Authority behind Mr. Heyman, and then she would sit on the Infrastructure Committee and the City Org Committee. Those would replace exactly what Mr. Maurer did, if you guys are in agreement with that.
Discussion?
No discussion here. Sounds good.
Sounds fine to me. Okay, do we need a motion for the committee assignments?
We do not.
I didn't believe we did. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. We did not remember the committees.
Yes.
We're so worried about who we're appointing, we forgot to point you to more work. Okay. Next on our agenda item is a public hearing and approval of a resolution of the City of Ridgecrest to consider public comments and establish a finding for unmet needs that are reasonable to meet with the public transportation system for fiscal year 2021-2022. I have to tell you, the moment I saw this, I don't know how many times I've watched the public hearing for reasonable unmet needs in public transportation over 15 years. So I can't wait to hear your presentation yet again.
Well, it's that time again. The city receives funding from the state through the Transportation Development Act. We are dispersed that funding by Kern Cog, and a part of remaining eligible for that funding is having an annual hearing to determine if there are any unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet. So I'm going to go over the definitions. Go ahead.
Let me interrupt for you just a second. I need to open the public hearing, correct? Okay, so first action, does that require a motion? I don't believe. Does not. Okay, so we are opening the public hearing, and then we will begin with the staff report.
All right. So I'm going to go over a couple definitions of those two terms. Unmet transit needs first. These are set by Kern Cog Resolution 90-04. So that defines unmet transit needs as follows. An unmet transit need exists if an individual of any age or physical condition is unable to transport his or herself due to deficiencies in the existing transportation system. Excluded are 1, those requests for minor operational improvements, and 2, those improvements funded and scheduled for implementation in the following year. The term reasonable to meet is defined as A, operational feasibility. The requested improvement must be safe to operate and there must be adequate roadways for transit vehicles. B, duplication of service. The proposed service shall not duplicate other transit services. C, timing. The proposed service shall be in response to an existing rather than a future need. And D, service must meet the legally required fare box ratio set by Public Utility Code sections 99268.2, 99268.5, and CAC sections 6633.2, 6633.5, with fares close to fares of similar service. This public hearing was duly noticed over 30 days ago in early January, so at this time I believe it would be appropriate to receive comments.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and open the public comments for this hearing. All those wishing to make public comment, please approach the podium and let yourself be heard.
While we're waiting, I will say that I did receive none in advance of the hearing, so.
Fantastic. And public comment is available via the phone as well if you are unable to attend. Seeing no public comment from the audience, I'm going to ask one more time for any public comment on the phones. No public comment on the phones. Having received public comments, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And then I would ask if there is any discussion from the council. Is there any questions from the council? We'll start this side. Start that. Back
None for me.
I just have a question about the photovoltaic system.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a contained solar system to where it just goes into a battery reserve, or does it overflow back into the grid?
There are no batteries that would be tied into the grid.
Okay. With that, is it only chargeable? I mean, you'd only be able to charge during the daylight hours?
So the hope, I believe, is that we get credits for what we generate above what we use during the day. A significant charging will occur during the day because we are using DC fast chargers to charge the vehicles quickly. So the trickle charge would occur overnight for the other vehicles. But I believe that hopefully we will get credits for any additional power we use to offset what we generate.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have no questions.
Just for my knowledge, I just have one question.
All right.
What is our fare box ratio and what is the legally required fare box ratio?
So for rural transit, it's 10% of our operating cost.
And we are within that?
We do not make that an existing fare, like transit fares. We have supplemented it at times with other local funds. There are also possibilities that we're exploring where we can generate additional local funds through transit, through actually the electric vehicles, to hopefully offset that and not require, any money from the general fund.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Right, so in talking about unmet needs,
Mm-hmm.
my thought process as you were talking, like you said, Eric, every year we talk about it. This is great. And I'm sure throughout the year you get comments from the public.
We do.
Right, and that's probably why we don't have any now. And it seems like those needs are always met, right? I mean, you guys always figure out a way.
For the most part, the most common need that I don't believe we can meet at this time would be like a weekend service. But that is probably the most common request that is not really feasible at this time because of cost.
Sure. And so pardon me if I misspeak. We are currently on a set route, certain days, certain times, correct?
Yeah, so currently, actually, due to the pandemic, we're offering dial-a-ride within the city of Ridgecrest.
Okay.
So it's what in the industry is called demand response. A customer generates, a demand. They want to go from this place to this place. So we pick them up at the location of their choice and drop them off at the location of the choice. That's partially been early in the pandemic, it seemed the most responsible way. Also, a lot of the places that we would typically pick up people and take them were closed, the college, not as many people were going to the hospital. So to provide from one, driving around mostly empty buses, and two, to be able to clean in between each passenger to keep trips limited to one household per group, we switched the city service to dial-a-ride service. we're in the process of, we actually have a bunch of new employees. Most of our employees are new, still getting their licenses. And as we're training them to go back to route service because it seems to be on the horizon.
So that leads me, that was a perfect segue into the exact question I was going to ask. Has it been more fiscally feasible, right? Have you seen it to be less costly to the city for it to be a daily ride situation? And would we remain that way even in a post-COVID world?
So there's a couple factors to that. One, with the current size of vehicles, I don't think that it is necessarily fiscally responsible for dial-a-ride as opposed to routes, but we are transitioning to smaller vehicles primarily with our upcoming vehicle replacements. The other issue is there's an affordable, I believe it's Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities grant the city, in partnership with a developer, has procured, and that has transit upgrades, but those transit upgrades are specific to fixed route service. So we have to provide some level of fixed route service to utilize those transit upgrades to remain compliant with that grant funding.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call vote.
Mayor Bruin.
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
Ms. Braden.
Aye.
5 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is the committee reports. Each of our committees have met throughout the month. I will go ahead and jump off since first on that list is Finance. Finance met last week. I want to go ahead and again commend our community and reflective of what the fiscal condition of our community is. We are definitely seeing a return of our sales tax base. Our TOT base is still missing, and Carrie, we know you want it back, and trust me, we want to get it back to you. But I think that's simply a COVID factor that isn't going to change until we get past certain barriers. But overall, fiscally, the city is much less impacted than we originally had feared from COVID-19. There was one item which was a reimbursement, and I want to go ahead and compliment Mr. Lauer for following through on that for the work that was done at the wastewater plant post-earthquake, and that was a significant reimbursement from the Navy. Bard, thank you for remembering that. It's greatly appreciated. Travis, don't you dare forget. If we have another earthquake. Let's not have one. And beyond that, the rest of the discussion is in terms of the formation and discussion on what direction for revenue, what direction for staff, what direction for this, what direction for that. There's a lot of moving pieces in finance, and the biggest message is will probably come out during the budget hearings as we get into May and June. Okay, that's all I have to report. Infrastructure.
Well, we canceled last meeting, so
Okay.
next month.
You two now get economic development.
You gave an update last week.
Yeah.
Did we update last week? Yeah. We have been here 3 weeks in a row. I have to
yeah.
take that into mind.
Sorry, my
Yeah,
mind's...
you updated last week.
We already updated.
I did.
Okay.
So we meet next on the 10th.
Okay. So, Parks and Recs quality of life. You've heard 99% of that already. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be added other than go pool. And we heard from RACVB today. So, does anybody have any other things to add to the committee reports? Otherwise, I don't. Other committees, boards, and commissions.
Yes, I'm a part of the BLM Roundtable Committee. A lot of things were discussed, not a whole lot pertaining exactly to Ridgecrest, but a lot of stuff's going on. I don't mean to seem non-informative. It was a hour and a half long conversation. If anybody has any questions from the public, shoot me an email, give me a call. I have a lot of notes, a lot of discussion items, but a lot of it was all over the place, like Haywee Dam project and pump storage and infrastructure, stuff like that, not necessarily Ridgecrest. So Yep.
I was going to just, Quad States, I'm having a interesting learning experience, and let's put it this way, I've learned a lot about turtles. Previously, I believe they were shelled animals that walked on four legs. In fact, I know that they are now more prized than cows in India. That's what I've quickly discovered. Incredible, and they do a lot of work to protect them, but substantial impact.
And coming up tomorrow, I got the East Kern Air Pollution Control District. Looking forward to that.
Any other boards or commissions? Nope. Okay, city manager. Welcome back to the big seat. You know, we don't have to stare down at you.
That's it feels a little different now. I got these lights just shining in my face the whole time. I'm not haven't gotten accustomed to it like you guys have. So, just a couple of things. One, to introduce Travis Reed as our new Public Works Director. I think he's going to be a great addition to the team. I think he's going to get caught up here fairly quick with the help from Bard. I think he'll do very well. We're also going to be interviewing a couple of candidates for the new chief of police position. Jed is leading that interview process. We'll have a professional panel of chiefs, as well as a second panel of citizens from the community to participate in the interview process. I'm hoping that, we might have a new chief on board within the next couple months. Obviously, if we select somebody, they have to go through the typical law enforcement background. So I'll keep you guys apprised of that as things proceed. Also, we're now transitioning to a new general manager from the Groundwater Authority. That should free up some of my time once that person fully takes over, which is good news. And another matter, the city is looking at leasing some office space to the Groundwater Authority. So we're working on an agreement with that will be in front of the Groundwater Authority Board next Wednesday, and then in front of our council in 2 weeks for your consideration. And that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, sir. Future agenda items. Any future agenda items from any council members? So I have one that I have already asked Ms. Charlon to put on the next agenda item. It's a discussion item in regards to a effort by several cities across the state in regards to saving the local control aspects, especially as it relates to zoning. And I'm just going to have the materials in there for a discussion. They're actually seeking, resolutionary support. I'd like to see us just have a discussion about whether that's the appropriate direction, and also how we feel about it. I don't think I have anything else specifically for future agenda, either of you? No? Okay. So mayor and council comments, we'll go by seniority from youngest to oldest. So Scott will get to go last this time. So Peggy, you get to go first.
I have a couple of questions. In the past, we had an East Kern Economic Development Committee, and I served on it and asked Melissa to serve on it so that she would continue to follow up. I do not see it listed.
Second from the bottom. Now, Mayor Bruin is the first, and then Melissa is the second. Is that the one you're speaking of?
Is that what you were? Okay. Thank you.
If you want to fire me, I have 4 kids.
Okay. And the second one, we had a Kern EDC, and Bill Ferris Jr. served on it. Is he still serving then?
Yes, he is. And
Okay.
that's on here as the very last one.
Okay, I saw that. I just wanted to make sure that we are following it, because the East Kern EDC was probably one of the most exciting committees I've ever sat on, and that it was a huge boom to this community when they met here. The last time they met here, when we could meet, everybody from every city was here, as well as many of the council members of those cities, because they recognize the value of I'm going to say IT in this community, the value of what we are most strong in and understanding that we're moving from gas and oil not being quite so important. And I want to make sure that we keep up on that because they understand and are constantly and wanting to be able to help us and work together. And I know Dave and I went to many, many meetings, and we know that Melissa will continue to do a good job, as well as Mayor Bruin. I just want to talk about how important that committee is to this city.
I think you would do a spectacular job. If you'd like to replace me, I am more than willing. If somebody's got enthusiasm and knows exactly what the group is, I have no problem stepping aside.
Well, I don't want to, wasn't being an advocate.
But I'm asking you, do you want it?
Yes.
You're at Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still going to be participating, and I can talk, but somebody that's passionate about something, you let passionate people do what they're passionate about. Come on, it's common sense. Business acumen 101.
So I will say, because those aren't actual standing council committees, they're kind of out of my realm of paying attention to. So at any point, if they meet and you want them to make a presentation, and you know when they meet and you want them on the next agenda, certainly all you have to do is let me know or have them speak during the other council committees.
Right now, because it's been virtual, it's really hard to do that kind of thing, because we took them around when they were here, Dave, and you remember how important they all thought it was. And it's a golden opportunity because everybody goes to eat at a restaurant beforehand locally, and when you show up to a restaurant with 25 or 30 people, they're particularly happy that you remembered spending your dollars locally.
Well, anytime you want to throw Mr. Bill Ferris under the bus, you just ask him to come up and speak, and he'd be happy to, I'm sure.
Okay. Now, the Kern EDC,
now that he's gone, I can say that.
I have not been involved with. The East Kern EDC I have been. Bill has been an excellent representative for us.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, those are my council comments.
So, Solomon, what's next?
I do have one comment on the employee camp. What I'm hearing is once they're ready to move on, base is not providing any transport to them. Am I correct?
Say that again.
They have to use their own cars to get onto the base. So that might create a traffic problem if, let's say, 100 people are going onto the base.
I don't think that that's been fully decided yet. I know that the Navy has requested ECC conduct a traffic survey. I do know that it should not create a traffic issue at the normal entrance and exits for the base, because they're going to have two of their own separate entrances, one at the top of Tank Hill and then one at Jack's Ranch Road, especially for the workers. So they will not be normally using the normal traffic entrance points that the regular employees use. So I know that they have spoken about possibly providing some sort of van transportation once their numbers increase. So I guess there's still more information to come.
Yeah, just I think something to think about, I think, to avoid traffic congestion.
We do meet with ECC somewhat on a regular basis. We are discussing these topics, and we do meet with the Navy that's in charge of the reconstruction. So, yes, I would keep that on the mind and be able to report back to you if anything changes or if we get any new information.
Maybe we can use our transport to pick them up from there and then take them up to the base, and they pick them up from there. I don't know. I'm just thinking loud about that. So.
Okay. Yeah, we could. I don't know if that'd be possible with the transit fund, or whether or not they would want that, because you're talking, at some point upwards to 1,500 people going on to the installation, and you'd be looking at picking them up and transporting them back. We just really don't have that van space to be able to do that. Okay. So, but I do believe that they have a plan. they have 2 entrances that are just especially designated for that reconstruction. So I think they're on it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I will go next. Just a couple things. One, in regards to the roads around the man camp, we're definitely continuing to have constructive conversations about the concerns in terms of wear and tear and the impacts, and I can assure you that that's happening. I wanted to let you know that I actually normally would have been in Washington this week. This is my government affairs week for Credit Union World, but it gave me a unique opportunity to have a chance to meet with Congressman McCarthy and Congressman Obernolte. I got the chance to introduce myself as his border buddy, and trying to build that relationship with him. But those are great opportunities, and I cannot stress enough, as I said when Peggy was interviewing, what the value is of relationships with elected officials, especially in moments of crisis. So I've started to work on that. And then, I guess last was, there is a Caltrans survey out there on Highway 178 discussing about what are some of the concerns or needs for 178. And I know that our hospital has made a push to get that message out. The big concern being the crossing at Sidnor on China Lake Boulevard as you are going uphill and the other parties are going uphill. You don't catch the people walking. Should people be walking across a technically California highway? That's for a different conversation. But at least in the conversation about what are needed improvements, as well as the water collection at the south end of the hospital. I remember an intersection at Ward and China Lake that was once a pool. And I know what it takes to fix those problems. So anybody who wants to share in those ideas, it's a public comment. Your comments do matter, and it does help to reinforce the unmet needs of the community. And I think anything that created a greater safety corridor there also gives us greater opportunity to build out the hospitals and the other things and the hotels and everything else that is hopefully the future of the Ridgecrest Business Park. So that's all I have.
I wanted to thank the RECVB for their presentation. It was a good presentation. I know I was kind of joking with you there at the end, but I did have a lot of questions, and Solomon actually hit a lot of them. I was curious about things, and you checked all the boxes, so I appreciate it. And RECVB has always done a lot for the community. I just didn't know who you guys were. Right? I think a lot of people did not, but you guys are improving that. It's getting better and better, so thank you for that. Narissa, thank you for your presentation and all the hard work you've done. Of course, thank you to the committee for chiming in on that, but you and your department have done a lot of work. And the community needs the pool. We'll see how much the community wants the pool here soon. Travis, it's good to hear you're on board. I've heard nothing but great things about you within the community and professionally, from the city manager. So I think it's going to be great. When I first got appointed to the city council, I asked Bard, and he obliged me. He took me around and showed me a lot of the things that are going on in the city. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing if you have the time, if you wish to. And that'll obviously get funneled through the city manager. I'd love, I can't speak for the rest of the city council, but I'd love for it to be a regular thing where we're going out and looking at all of the various projects the city has going on with Public Works.
I would be more than happy to join you, just
to
educate. There's so much you don't know that's going on, but Travis may have to wear that suit.
Yeah, so hopefully in the future, and I look forward to working with you. And congratulations to all of the city employees. That's even if it's 5 years, that's a lot of years to give to an organization, give to a government organization on top of that. So thank you.
Mr. Hayden?
I just want to say thank you to the employees for all your hard work, and welcome, Travis. And I want to say this has been a good meeting.
And with that, it's another beautiful day in the Crest, and this meeting is adjourned. Everyone have a wonderful evening.